Welcome to the Super Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the new Super Gamer Podcast, episode 152. Our guest this week is a self-proclaimed nerdy piano player, a cosplayer of various things, Marl, Zelda, Tifa, Samus, probably more. We have Animalisa Keys here. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for inviting me to do this. It's my first ever podcast interview.
Oh, very good. Then we'll be breaking ground.
Yes.
Well, we'll start with what is your rarest Pokemon card?
I actually have an original Charizard. I don't think it's like, the first edition or whatever, the one that costs thousands of dollars. I only got it for like $40, but it's probably worth a lot more now because of after COVID, all the prices went way up. But I do have a Charizard. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. You keep going. Sorry.
Okay. Do you play Pokemon? Like you've played Magic and I've played Magic. I don't know anybody who actually plays the game Pokemon cards.
I played a lot when I was younger. And then I started buying like a lot of the older cards like 6 years ago or so and was just playing like with the original rules. But recently one of my friends got a bunch of Pokemon cards and I was having a rough time because a lot of the rules have changed and it's just chaos to me now. But it's easy to pick up on, but there's like old things that I'll fall back on that were rules from, I don't know, 30 years ago now? I have no idea.
Pretty much.
25 years ago.
Did you really hand out Pokemon cards for Halloween last year?
I absolutely did. Yes. There was like a giant bag of Halloween Pokemon cards. They were like packs of 3 or something. So I taped like a couple of them together with some candy taped on it and passed those out.
That must have cost a lot.
I don't remember how much it cost. It wasn't too much. It wasn't as much as I thought it would be. But some people were like insanely excited when they saw them. Others, obviously, like the really little kids were just like, I don't know what this is. Like, it's got candy on it. I guess it's okay.
So as far as your music, you started playing piano at 7. When did you start?
Yeah.
When did you start playing video game tunes?
Probably close to the same age. So, because I have 3 older siblings that are musicians, so my 2 older brothers would actually like arrange video game music for us to play. Because I also played violin, so we actually had like a complete string quartet between the 4 of us. So my brothers would actually like arrange video game music, and we've even played it at schools before for kids, and they were so excited. So for forever, I don't know.
The reason I ask that is because I know you've said yourself that there was a time when you were kind of a classical music snob. So I wondered if video game music got a pass, or if if there was a period where like, no, it's classical or nothing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I probably when I got serious about piano, I didn't have time to even think about, playing video game music. It just kind of was like, well, I'm just practicing classical stuff all day, every day. So I just kind of forgot about it, and then didn't pick it up until like a decade later,
Have you ever played League of Legends?
I have not. I have watched people play.
Well, I was going to ask, going back to the string quartet, if your go-to character was Fiddlesticks.
That's really, really funny that you ask that, because I'm not lying. Our family string quartet name was Fiddlesticks.
Right, that's why I asked.
Okay. So, yeah, we were at Fiddlesticks. So I suppose if I ever play League of Legends, I'll keep an eye out for that.
Who's the best gamer in your family?
It would probably be my second oldest brother. It depends on what we're playing. Like, my sister is the best at Smash Melee, and she's just good at Smash in general. But then sometimes one of my brothers picks stuff up really quickly, and it can be kind of frustrating when we're competing.
How heated does it get between you?
once in a while, one of us throws a little tantrum, but we forget about it within like an hour. Like, we're just used to it at this point, you know. We get a little tilted sometimes at Smash.
Not to focus too much on your family, you know, instead of you, but your brother played in the Zelda Symphony Orchestra. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Like, a lot of the bigger orchestras, because he's in the Detroit Symphony right now, a lot of the bigger orchestras are playing more and more video game music, which is awesome. I'm so excited. Like, they frequently will give video game music concerts, and it's wonderful.
What is the most unspeakably disgusting name you've given your video game characters?
What am I allowed to say on this podcast?
You can say whatever you like.
Well, I want to start with my first one when I was like 10 playing Pokemon. When you get your rival, like, who wouldn't think you're supposed to name your rival something? Well, I just named him Asshole, but I wasn't very creative. Like, now I like to use like different body parts, because when you use different body parts, then really funny dialogue comes up. So like some character will be like, "Hey, I washed my boobs for you," or or like the worst one was in Chrono Trigger when Robo gets beat up, and it's supposed to be really sad because all the other robots beat him up, and you know it's supposed to be sad. But I named him Penis, and so they're just like, "Oh no, Penis is getting whipped," and then I'm just laughing while like the sad music is playing, and yeah. So usually just yeah.
You kind of answered me there, but does it ever are you ever like really invested in the story, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, I'm not anymore because I named it Penis?
Oh, not really. I'm honestly never like extremely invested in video game stories. Like, I'm invested in them, but not enough to where I'm like, oh, now it's ruined. I'm more just happy to laugh at it.
Your Chrono Trigger full soundtrack video is by far your most popular. You have several videos, but the Chrono Trigger full soundtrack one has like way more views than anything else. You put in a ton of effort for it. You got it licensed and all that. Were you expecting it to take off as much as it did?
No, I wasn't. Like, a couple of my longer videos did better, and I think YouTube kind of favors longer videos now. But I definitely wasn't expecting it to pick up that much. And it's kind of like motivated me now to think about doing more and more complete soundtracks. Like maybe Secret of Mana or something like that, or Ocarina of Time. It's really fun to play all like the hidden tracks that you don't hear very often, and then the challenge of trying to figure out how to play things that were clearly not meant for piano or aren't very melodic, and try to figure out how to make them work on a piano. It's fun.
Can you tell us about some of the unseen work that went into making that piece?
The unseen work, mostly just arranging. That was the main unseen work. Just arranging and recording every week. Yeah. that was basically it. All the arranging and practicing.
I could be misremembering, but I believe you've said that you prefer using arrangements that like aren't too specific. Like, you kind of want to put your own spin on things. When you're making your own arrangements, like, do you leave things kind of vague, or how specific do you get?
So basically when I'm on Twitch, if I'm reading an arrangement, I don't want like a bunch of, if I'm like sight reading or improvising off of something, I don't want like a bunch of extra notes that weren't originally there, because I like to add my own thing. And then when I'm making my own arrangements, I usually, the way I do it is I try to include every layer that there is in the original track, and then it's not always physically possible to play with two hands, so I just kind of like shave away at it, and then I'll play through it that way once, basically, and then after that I'll kind of make a variation and put my own spin on it usually. And yeah, just kind of maybe throw in a key change, or maybe throw in some licks that weren't there before, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You had someone actually rip the sound from that Chrono Trigger soundtrack and put it in their own video and post it. And you ended up getting it taken down, but like, how frustrating is that?
I think I was mostly annoyed when they were like posting all over their account that they were trying to monetize and make money. So it's like, not only are you trying to make money off of like someone else's stuff, I don't know, like it was really just kind of frustrating because they didn't even do anything artistically with it. It was just a straight copy. Like, I'm totally happy if someone wants to play my arrangements and record it themselves. Like, that would be really cool. I'd be super flattered. And it wasn't just me. Like, it looked like they had several videos of other musicians' work that they were just copy pasting into their own channel, trying to monetize and make money. Like, no.
Right. What about the Animalisa Plays Chrono Trigger album? That's separate from the Chrono Trigger soundtrack video?
Yeah, so all those recordings were basically before I decided I was going to do the whole soundtrack, and they're a lot longer arrangements, and they have a lot more of my own kind of writing in them and my own spin on them. So that's the main difference. That was before I even planned on doing the whole soundtrack, and then I had about 15 recorded. So there's an album, and then I got bored one month and was like, I'm gonna do the whole thing and arrange the whole thing.
The album art by, I hope I'm not mispronouncing, but Steph Sibidlo?
Yeah. Her album, all her art is like mesmerizing. So I'm so happy that she agreed to do it.
Did you reach out, or how did that work?
Yeah, I just found her. What I'm trying to remember is I think I made a tweet and was asking who did artwork, and so someone suggested her, and then I just reached out, emailed her, see if she was available.
Did you like, oh, here's the kind of idea that I want, or was it just totally her thing?
So I'm not very visually creative, so that I kind of just said, it would be cool just to have Marl playing piano, and that's really the only idea that I had. And then she came up with all the stuff, like the lights in the background that look like they're the lampposts from the end of time, like the lights that look like all the portals to the different time eras. And the cat, she thought of the cat for one of the images has a cat in it. So she came up with so much ideas of putting lore from the game into the art that I just didn't think of. So that was really cool.
Well, one thing I'd say, maybe you're not known for, but you call out troll comments. You make a point of like, hey, you're being an asshole. Can kind of tell us your philosophy in dealing with internet jerks?
Well, now I'm doing it less because my Chrono Trigger video keeps getting more and more of them. But my philosophy initially, when I wasn't getting very many, was like, oh, this just means I'm doing it right. Like, you're not really getting any haters unless you're doing something right. And kind of just wanted to poke fun at them back. And like, I don't know, my kind of philosophy was like, well, if I respond to them and then make fun of them and publicly shame them, I guess, then maybe other people will see that and be like, maybe I shouldn't act like that because I do look really silly. And it's just kind of entertainment for me a little bit, I guess. Because, like when 99.9% of the comments are just so wonderful and supportive, and you just get that one person and that outlier who's like, says something like, hateful or whatever, then they do look really silly, to be honest.
They do. Some of them are like that feeble hand one is just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I saw one and like one of my friends shared of like I think it was the best Zelda songs of all time. I haven't seen the video, but he actually pinned a comment that someone wrote an entire paragraph of like how stupid he was because he didn't include Gerudo Valley and Soraya's song and all this other stuff that he wanted, and like it was like a whole paragraph of insulting him because he didn't include the right songs. And so this guy just pinned the comment and hearted it, and it just was so funny to me. It was so entertaining.
So the troll comments, like, are all comments becoming more frequent, or is it specifically troll comments are becoming more and more on that video of yours?
It's a bit of both. I think once the YouTube algorithm starts suggesting your video to a wider audience, other than just like music, your like music nerds and stuff like that. Once it reaches more of the general population, you'll get more of those people that say stupid stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I have a bone to pick with you.
Sure.
Harpsichord rules.
Oh no. Well, you know, I like it as part of a mix, but I guess it's because one of my teachers made us perform like a Bach prelude and fugue. We played it on piano and then we had to perform it on harpsichord, and I just so much preferred the piano after that, and it was just I just hated playing it. You can't control the dynamics. Like, it just plucks the string and then the sound dies and it sounds grating in my ears. Well, very much personal preference.
You did even say in the tweet, you said something along the lines of, like, unless it's like a gothic setting, which is where I would, like, you know, Castlevania, that kind of stuff, like, gotta have harpsichord.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely, like, if you add harpsichord in with the rest of the, you know, whatever other instruments or orchestra you want, yeah, to add that gothic vibe, it's perfect. Yeah.
I guess along those lines, how scary are zombies to you?
I feel like you've done research on me before this. Oh man, you're so like knowledgeable. I can't do zombies. I can't so my husband and I just watched, he's watching The Last of Us. He's like, you need to watch episode 3, which is like the really sweet romantic one, I believe. He's like, it's a good standalone thing, and there's like only 2 zombies in it. It'll be fine. And he was right. There were only 2 zombies, and they were total wimps, and they got, you know, it shouldn't have been a big deal, but I still had trouble sleeping that night. And I was thinking about zombies. Just the idea, just the theme of the show having like zombie-like creatures in it just was enough for me. And don't even get me started on Attack on Titan. Episode 1 like freaked me out so bad I could not go anywhere with that.
What is it about zombies? And yeah, you mentioned that it's not zombies, you know, necessarily like undead. It's just that sort of like possessed humanoid.
I think it's just because they're like us. They're like humans, but their humanity is taken away, and that's part of it. But so the idea of having my own humanity taken away and turning into that is really scary. And then just the fact that they just eat other people, and that's just that part just bothers me a lot. And then you turning into a zombie and then losing control, and just, I don't know. I feel like this is something I should talk to a psychiatrist about now.
Does it matter? Sure. Does it matter if they're slow or fast moving?
No, not really. Both of them are bad. I think faster ones can be even more scary. Like the ones in I Am Legend that are kind of like zombies, they seem to get really fast and really smart, and which makes it even scarier in a way. Like they're you know, it's more of a risk that way. But then when there's like hordes of them and you can't escape no matter if they're slow or fast, that's pretty bad too.
Right. I've always been of the mind that slower is scarier, because it's this existential crisis of like, I can totally outrun these things, but they're everywhere. I can't escape it.
Yeah, actually.
You mentioned your husband there. Can I ask what's the significance of Zelda's Lullaby for you?
How do you know so much about me? Well, because that was my wedding song. That's what I walked down to, was Zelda's Lullaby.
Is your husband also a nerd? Was he like, that's no problem, or was he like, this is Kiki?
He's not that much of a nerd, but the music is good, so he didn't really care. Like, I mean, what are you gonna play? Like, Here Comes the Bride? It's just not as good of a song. It's just not. So I think because the music sounded good and because my siblings played and they play so beautifully, it was really didn't matter if anyone recognized the music or not. It still worked either way. And if people did, then they're like, oh my goodness, they were playing Zelda or some other music they were playing.
Does that make, when you hear that now, like when you're playing Zelda, for example, like, do you get emotional hearing that?
Not too much, no. I wasn't super emotional at my wedding because I don't like being the center of attention, so I was kind of like, I'm just ready for this to be over so we can party and have fun. So the whole ceremony wasn't super emotional to me. I was like, I don't know. Just having everybody watching me, so.
What's the funniest thing you've caught yourself saying when recording or editing? I know you go back, you're editing, and you're like, oh, I forgot to turn my mic off at that point or whatever.
Oh no, I don't know if I can remember anything right off the top of my head. But yeah, I do frequently butter to myself, and I'll be listening back and I'll hear like, oh, that wasn't so bad, or that was all right. But I can't think of anything specific. So if you know so much about me and you remember me saying something, then maybe you know better.
I don't know. I do have my own. I used to work in radio, and you do the weather and you record it beforehand, blah blah. And if you screw up, you start again. But I guess I forgot to take this part out, and like it's on air at this point, and I'm hearing the radio station, and it's me like, yeah, it's gonna be sunny and blah blah, and then I just go, again, okay. I'm like, oh no.
Oh my God.
I just thought, well, thank God I didn't like swear or something.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It could have been a lot worse for sure.
What is a game that you have yet to cover but you would like to?
There's so many. Oh my goodness. I have to think. Well, Octopath Traveler 2. I'm gonna be like covering that one soon, but a lot of music from that. But I haven't been able to because I'm waiting on my piano to get here. But that or Secret of Mana. I really, really love the music from Secret of Mana, so I need to get to that.
Are you in the middle of an Ocarina of Time full soundtrack?
I'm not in the middle of it, but I'm like barely thinking about getting started on it, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing we can expect out of you? Or is that up in the air?
Well, right now I'm working on a couple of Octopath Traveler 2 pieces, and then for a quick full soundtrack I was going to do Zelda 2 because I really like the music, so, and it won't take very long.
Is there anyone in the VGM sphere that you'd really like to collaborate with?
I feel like I could collaborate with most people that I want to if I asked. I really like collaborating with people that I know personally. I'm trying to think of because some of the people that I like collabing with I already have collabed with. Probably not necessarily like other pianists because I'm not that interested in like adding multiple pianos together because that just gets really busy and notey. But I really, really like collabing with the other people in the 8-Bit Battleground group. So basically anyone from there, I've collabed with most of them. So maybe there's a couple in there that I would like to. Like I haven't collabed with CR Guitar or Lloyd the Hammer yet. Hint, hint, if you listen to this, guys.
I was going to say, anyone you don't mention is going to be like, oh.
Or Shane. I think those three are the three I haven't collabed with yet, so hint. So yeah, I just like to collab with friends and people that I know.
A totally random thing I've got from one of your streams, and I didn't know, and I agree with you. In Final Fantasy X, the main character's name is apparently pronounced Titus and not Titus, which I definitely thought it was Titus.
Yeah, so, because I haven't played Final Fantasy X, so people were like, oh, why are you saying Titus? And, and that happens to me a lot even with games I've played. But yeah, Titus sounds horrible. Ew.
Oh, yeah. That's... They're
like, oh, you say Soraya? I thought it was Saria. Or like, I used to think it was Marley, but it's Marl. You know, so many.
What is your beef with first-person style games?
I just don't like being able to see where my feet are, basically. I like to see, you know, especially with jumping on platforms and stuff, I want to see where my feet are. So even when I'm playing Metroid, I'm like replaying Metroid Prime, like I'm constantly just turning into a ball because I like going back into third person.
So VR for
That's
you,
kind of
that might be a no-go.
I'll definitely try it, but it might be interesting. I have put on VR headsets before, and they made me nauseous, so I would have to get used to it.
I am told that they've got much better, and actually I have used some recently I did not get sick, but originally, yes, I got quite ill one time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hopefully they get better and better. Yeah.
Are you a Flight Sims fan? Because you are an Air Force pilot.
When I was a kid, I did Flight Simulator because I wanted to learn to fly a little bit, but I don't do any of the Microsoft Flight Simulator thing anymore at all.
Do you think it helped to get you where you are?
No, because I kind of just would get sidetracked to be like, I'm gonna fly the right flyer now and see what happens and fly this other crazy plane. So I wasn't disciplined enough to like actually use it in a way that would have helped me.
Right. Is there ever are you ever in a game? I can't even think of I don't know. Was there a Zelda where there's a plane or something? I can't think of one. But you ever play one and you're like, well, this wouldn't work. Like the lift is wrong or something.
Oh, probably. I'm trying to think of I mean, there is Skyward Sword, but I mean, that's a bird, so you're flapping your wings, so it's completely different. I don't know. I don't think too much when I'm playing video games. I'm like,
Right.
None of it's realistic.
Where can people find your stuff? I know you're on Twitch under Animalisa Keys. You're on YouTube at Animalisa Keys. And I know you're on Spotify and such. Where should people find you?
Yeah, so YouTube, Twitch, those are really my main places. I have a Discord channel, but yeah, that's about it.
You had mentioned that you were kind of iffy on the Discord. How's that going?
Oh, it's good. Yeah. I was just worried about getting too overwhelmed with more social media. But yeah, I mostly just hang out on a little bit on Twitter and maybe more on Discord now, I think.
Cool. Well, yeah, like we said, twitch.tv/AnimalisaKeys, youtube.com/@AnimalisaKeys. Animalisa Keys, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.